bearings. That's the topic that we're looking at. So when we're talking about bearing, we're simply talking about the direction of one point from another. So this is the direction of one point from another, right? So if I say the bearing of point A from B, this simply means what direction is A when you are at B. So if you are standing at B, from B, right? When you're standing at B, what direction is A? So B will be your point of reference, right? Right, so this is the point of reference, right? This is the point from which you measure the bearing, right? So you will find the direction of A from B. Now, the first thing we need to understand is our basic cardinal points. Our basic cardinal points. We know that we have 4 cardinal points: north, east, west, and south. So that's north, east, west, and south. And we know that between the two corresponding cardinal points, we have 90 degrees. So there's 90 degrees from there to there. From east to south, there's 90 degrees. From south to west, there's 90 degrees. And then from west to north, there's 90 degrees. So 90, 90, 90, 90, the whole thing gives you 360 degrees, right? So from north all the way around back to north, that's 360 degrees. Okay, so that's very important that you understand that. From north to south is 180 degrees. Now, what we need to understand is that we have 2 types of bearings, right? We have 2 types of bearings. We have what we call the 3-figure bearings. And then there is the compass bearings. So we're going to first of all look at the 3-figure bearing. Let's start off with 3-figure bearing. 3-figure bearing. Right? So the 3-figure bearing is simply uses 3 figures, right? 3 figures to describe or to tell the direction of one point from another. So for 3-figure bearings, we're simply using 3 figures, 1, 2, 3, 3 figures to tell the direction of one point from another, right? So if I have something like 150 degrees, 320 degrees, right? These are actually information about the direction of one point from another. Now, if I have something which is less than maybe 100, maybe 70 degrees, I have to put a 0 so that I always have 3 figures. Maybe if I have a 15 degrees, I have to put a 0. So it should always be 3 figures, even if the angle we're talking about is less than 100. So let's look at how we come up with the 3 figures for the bearing here. So let's have, for example's sake, we're looking for bearing of A from B. So let's say we have a point here, that's point B. Then we have a point there, that's point A, right? So one thing you need to have, the first thing you need is a north line at the reference point. If you're going to identify the bearing, you need to have a north line at the reference point. Our reference point is where you are measuring from. Remember, you're finding the bearing of A from B. So this is our reference, right? B is our reference. So at B, we need a line going through that point at B that points directly towards the north, right? So that's the first thing. The first thing, we must identify our north line at B. The second thing is we must have the 2 points joined. And join A and B. So you draw a line that joins A and B like that. Okay, so now we have a north line, we've joined them. Now the third thing is to note the clockwise angle from the north line to the line joining the 2 points. So the clockwise angle, right? So if I come here, there's the north there. From north, I'm going to go clockwise to the line joining A and B, right? So I started there from the north line, went clockwise, the same direction as your clock, right? If you have your little clock there, you know that your clock moves in that direction, right? So you move that same direction. Never move anti-clockwise. So if this angle was perhaps, let's just say for example's sake, if this was 110 degrees, it means that your bearing would be 110 degrees, right? Your bearing is simply your clockwise angle from the north line at the reference point to the line joining the 2 points, right? So if we continue, let's just say we are saying a bearing of x from y. If you have y here, maybe x there, then in another situation, maybe let's say you have y here and then x there. Same thing, we look at our reference point, which is y, because we're measuring from y. Make sure you have a north line at y, right, on both your points. So there's your north line there at y. These are two different things. The next step is join the 2 points, right? There's y, join it to x. There's y, join it to x. The third thing is take note of the clockwise angle. Forgot to label this north. Clockwise angle from the north line to the line joining the 2. So there's a clockwise angle. And just for illustration's sake, let's say this is 120 and let's say this is 60, right? Our bearing for the first one will be 120 degrees. And our bearing for the second one is going to be 060 degrees. Remember, you need to have a 0 there so that you always have a 3-figure bearing. So that's 3-figure bearing. Just follow those steps and you should be able to identify and understand your 3-figure bearings.